Welcome to Live on KEXP. I'm your host, DJ Morgan from listener-powered independent 90.3 FM KEXP in Seattle. We stream online at kexp.org and our free mobile apps. And we have been having so much fun out here at the Thing Music Festival for its third year in Port Townsend, Washington, here at Fort Worden State Park. And we are on the very last day and the very last session. And we have a wonderful audience hanging out here with us. How y'all doing? You enjoying Thing Festival? Awesome. It is wonderful to have you here, and we are so excited to be finishing off the day and the festival with one of our favorite bands out of Seattle. It is Pulp, live on KEXP from Thing Fest. That was awesome. High Pulp live on KEXP from Think Festival. Oh my God, you guys, that was so good. Thank you for that amazing performance.
Thank you.
Thank you again for being here. You just heard 3 new songs from the new album Days in the Deserts and a cover. That third song was a cover. I'm not familiar with that. Can you tell us about that song?
It's an awesome band called Cortex. They're from France. They put this record out in the 70s called Troupeau Bleu, and that's the song called Troupeau Bleu on it. And that whole record's just amazing. And we found it through, I think, Madlib. Madlib famously sampled it in a few of his songs, and I think we came to it that way, so, yeah.
Cool, good find. Thanks for that recommendation. I gotta check that out. And that last song you heard is called If You Don't Leave, the City Will Kill You. And hearing that music with that title, it's perfect. It really feels like you're running away from the city. Did you have a particular story behind that, or was that just an awesome title for that song?
It's just a good title.
Yeah.
It was from, there's a manga called Takan Concrete, and there's also a movie, and one of the lines in that, like that's said at some point in the book, in the manga, and I remember it just struck me, and I just have a notes sheet that has all of these random song ideas, titles and album titles or whatever, and I just put it in there. And then a year later, it was like, ooh, this song sort of feels like that.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Speaking of music from the 70s, that also reminded me, have you heard that album Stefano Torosi's Feelings?
No.
It's like very urgent 70s, almost library-esque music.
Cool.
Check that out.
I will.
A little back at you recommendation.
Please.
I'll write that down for you later.
That's what I was going to ask. I
will.
I won't remember it.
Yeah.
Write it down. I will check it out.
Totally. The last time you were at KEXP was not too long ago. It was just last year. You had another album out called Pursuit of Ends, and now you're back just a year later with another excellent album called, again, Days in the Desert. Can you tell us about this new album? How did you make it so quickly?
Well, the spoiler is that we sort of made them both at the same time. It was the COVID thing. We were inside all the time, and we just basically wrote a bunch of songs that we would upload to the Dropbox. We all use Ableton, so we basically just did it all remote while we were on lockdown, etc. And we had a batch of like maybe 30 songs, and some of them didn't make it, and then some of them we felt like they made sense for Pursuit of Ends, and then we sort of left 10 of them and didn't really touch them, and we went on tour and we got busy, and then we came back to those a year later, and we sort of started to see them just see different things in them, and that's what wound up becoming Days in the Desert. So we sort of cheated because I think we did a lot of the heavy lifting during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Were those songs pretty much set as they are on the album now, or did you like go back and do
we
extra
changed,
stuff?
We just changed a ton of stuff. Yeah. Like then I think that year off in between Pursuit of Ends and Days in the Desert was really important because getting away from it all and getting back to being on the road, all of that informs the way you write and the choices that you make on recordings. And having that year away was really influential to then come back and be like, oh, this song that we thought was really cool, none of us like anymore.
Yeah.
You know, and then this song that we thought was just a complete filler, we're just like, oh, this one actually has legs. So it's really good to get some space from it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. And this album has a ton of guests on the record: Brandy Younger, Daedalus, Jeff Parker of Tortoise, just to name a few. Did those collaborations happen earlier in the recording process, or was that part of coming back to those?
It was coming back. We basically just like put the whole record away after we did Pursuit of Ends and just started to focus on touring. And then when we did eventually get back to working on Days in the Desert, we started to think about who we would want to, you know, work with on some of these tracks, because we just really like collaborating. We've done a lot of collaborations. Our band has ranged from anywhere to like 6 to 12 people at different times, and collaboration is important for us. So it was just sort of a natural thing to then think, who do we want to collaborate with and to like sort of bring these songs to life in a way that we couldn't do it just by ourselves. So it all happened in the last year.
Did you do a similar situation where you're like sending those songs off to them and they're adding to it and it comes back to you?
Because we're on the road a lot, and then when we're not, we're in different places, and people live in different places. So the internet makes things easy.
It does make things easy.
Dropbox, shout out to Dropbox.
Yeah, that must be really fun. Yeah, right. It must be really fun though to come back, get it back, and you have this surprise addition to it, right?
Totally. I mean, when on the second song on the record, James Brandon Lewis is an amazing saxophone player, and we booked him like 3 hours in a studio in New York to just get as many takes of the part and then do some solo takes. And he called me like an hour later, hour into the session, one of the 3 hours that we'd allotted, and he's like, I'm done. I'm like, really? Okay. You do some solos? He's like, I did 15.
Whoa.
We're like, holy cow. Like, okay, so we go and listen to all of them, and they're all amazing. And it's really cool when you give the song away, and then you see how it comes back, and you're like, oh, wow, I hear things differently and see things differently. And just some people are really good at their instruments too, which is just fun to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool to hear that sort of process because it shines new light for me as a fan personally to hear how your albums change from album to album. Your sound changes, but you're still the same. And hearing that all of these different collaborations and all of these different people getting their hands in the sounds makes it different every single time. That's super exciting.
We like to think about it. We're a live band, but especially when we've been writing in these last couple of years, it's been very computer-based and doing a lot of takes and getting it right and like thinking about it more like a producer or a beat maker as opposed to like a traditional live band.
Right.
And that's been just fun because you can slow it down and really make intentional composition choices. And that was sort of forced on us by COVID with the whole lockdown and having to do things apart, but it actually was a little bit of a blessing because then we were able to try writing songs in a way we hadn't before and that we wouldn't have yielded these results if we had tried to write in the room, you know?
Yeah, that's really cool. And then in the meantime, while you're dealing with the COVID lockdown, you also get signed to Anti, and this is your second album on it now. Have you found that you've been exposed to new audiences or have gotten different opportunities being part of the Anti label?
Definitely. They're really wonderful. They just completely let us make the art, and they completely support us in all these different ways possible. Sometimes it's new fans and connections. Sometimes it's advice and introducing us to certain people. But it's definitely been noticeable that once we started working with them, that things started to accelerate a little bit. Yeah. So we feel really lucky.
That's great. I'm so happy for you all. You deserve this new audience.
Well, thank you.
You got to get the music into these people's ears.
We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
I have one more question for you, and it may be the shortest answer ever.
Great.
You have a song on the record called Robert Pollard of Guided by Voices.
Yeah.
Is it because the song is under 2 minutes?
No.
Really?
No. It's because the spirit of the song reminds us of Robert Pollard. Andy
Fair
and
enough.
I specifically are just the biggest Guided by Voices fans.
Nice.
And people are, we play this kind of music, so people assume we listen to one thing, and we just listen to B1000 and Alien Lanes and
I love those
Isolation
albums.
Drills and all that stuff all the time.
Nice.
Universal Truths and Cycles, all that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just felt, Andy basically wrote that song on the record, and it's just a horn chorale, and we were like, we should call this Robert Pollard. It's a little, just to let people know we listen to a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. I just figured since he's the king of under 2 minute songs that maybe that was why.
It's true. That's a coincidence. We hadn't even thought of that, but it makes it even more.
Yeah, now it's a dual answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Perfect. Well, hi, Pulp. Thank you again so much. That was an excellent performance. We're so glad to have you here, and I hope you'll come back soon, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much.
And thanks to all of you for watching and listening today. Please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to find more live performances from KEXP like this one, and all of the sessions that we've had at Thing. We'll be keeping those on our YouTube channel, of course, to come back to later. And you can make a gift anytime to KEXP to keep all of these live sessions going with your support by making a gift to kexp.org/live. This has been High Pulp, live on KEXP from Thing Music Festival.
Discover great music at kexp.org.